This conference will now be recorded.
Alderman Byer. Here. Niles. Here. Miller.
Here.
Brad.
Here.
Lars.
Here. Here.
Kraus.
Here.
Kelly.
Here. All members present. The first item on the agenda is public participation. Anybody from the public would like to address this body, please come forward to the podium and be recognized. Please give your name and your reason for appearing. We have Jen.
Is it a touch screen or not?
Just hold it there.
I'm a really good multitasker, but oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jen Pinto, Executive Director of the Jefferson Chamber of Commerce, and I am here to give you an update on the holiday parade. So due to the increased cases of COVID in Jefferson County, the Jefferson Chamber of Commerce has decided to switch to a drive-through parade instead of canceling it altogether like a lot of our other communities have done around us. And completely understandable. We support those decisions as well. However, we have this unique opportunity that we have the Fair Park right in our back door. So I have reached out to Amy Listel, the director out there, and we are going to collaborate on a drive-through parade where the parade entries just come, they park, and then spectators, they drive through in their car. And what I really like about this is that it obviously promotes, a little bit more safe options for us, but the Fair Park has done an awesome job of already doing these kinds of events already, so they have it down pat. I will be meeting with Amy hopefully tomorrow to work out a pattern and all that good stuff, but this was just a great way that we can still spread the holiday cheer and hopefully not spread COVID at the same time. So the first 100 cars through will get a goodie bag because we're asking our participants to not throw candy, give candy away so we can reduce the touch points. So any participants that want to have a brochure or candy or whatever can stop by the chamber office and we will load it up in one bag, again, for each car. Everything is the same as far as date and time. So it'll be Saturday, December 5th at 5:30. And usually the parade lasts about an hour-ish. And, we're willing to stay as long as there's a line. I would like to promote the downtown businesses that benefit from a downtown parade by offering them the chance to have like coupons or something, and we can hand those to every car that comes through. So that's pretty much what I have. We have 15 official entries, which doesn't sound like much, but I think people were scared off by COVID. So I've been on the phone trying to call last year's entries, and they're like, oh, well, if I just have to sit there, I can do that. So we'll be getting a lot more, I think, because of that. And I'll be also reaching out to other chambers to see if they would like to come out and just their parades that were canceled, if they would like to come out too. Any questions? Don't know yet. They were on the fence the last I spoke to them. So
is the date going to be the same, John?
Yep, December 5th, 5:30. All right, thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council? Hearing none. Then item 3 on the agenda is the appointment by the mayor, confirmed by you, council, an appointment to the Police and Fire Commission for a 5-year term. The mayor is recommends for appointment, Kathy Kraus. Kathy Kraus is a resident of Jefferson for the last 11 years. She works in the Fort Community Credit Union. She was involved with the Helensville Fire Department for many years. And she is being recommended by Mayor Opperman. I would need a motion to confirm his appointment.
So moved.
It's moved by Mr. Tully to confirm the appointment of Kathy Kraus. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Nels. It's been moved and seconded to approve the appointment of Kathy Kraus by the mayor for a position on the Police and Fire Commission for a 5-year term. All in favor of approving that appointment, please say aye as clerk calls roll. No if you're opposed.
Alderwoman Niles.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Kraus.
Aye.
Ellie.
Aye.
Fire.
Aye.
Unanimous. Appointment has been confirmed. Item 4 on the agenda is the budget presentation, and our finance director, Tanya Stewart, is here. And I will turn the action over to her.
Thank you.
Tanya?
I don't need this bill, do
No, you don't, that's
Okay.
just a speaker at the
Okay.
point, so.
I? Okay, cool, thanks. All right, so we're at the final set for the 2021 proposed budget tonight. We've followed the same process as we have in past years, where we go to the departments, have them request their budget. Tim does a review of that. It goes to the finance committee for the day-long workshop. And then we're here tonight asking you for your approval on the document of our budget, our tax levy, and our tax rate. You can actually go ahead one more. All right. So the first thing we'll kind of do is kind of a recap of our 2020 budget. And like every other part of our lives, COVID's the story of our budget. So we looked in March as to what we thought we might anticipate by year end as a deficit. And at that time, we came up with about $168,000. So at that time, we looked at the different things that we could possibly do to help mitigate if worst case scenario came through and we actually had that 168 deficit. So we did the elimination. There was a part-time, there was a 6 months of a full-time parks position in the budget. So we did not hire that position this year. Bill also had a few people in there for summer interns. He hired one for a limited amount of time. We had identified 3 capital projects, which we did not do, but we did not use the money that's allocated for them either. That was the VFW kitchen, the AV for the meeting rooms that we're in now, and the sidewalk program. The other component that we had identified as a potential way to offset these losses was we every year put aside $100,000 contingency from the fund balance, and this year we allocated $50,000 of that for COVID expenses. The good part is when all the departments came back with all of their projections for 2020 is that we were finding that we were looking like we might actually run a surplus of about $19,000. And I believe since we've actually done this exercise, which was a couple months ago, we're probably even better off now than we were then, which is pretty amazing considering the additional costs we had to undertake. We have been incredibly blessed by the state and the federal government providing funding for us. So I just took a quick look to see exactly what we'd all received this year between CARES funding, roads to recovery, and then there was some CARES funding that was given to our EMS. So we'll hopefully, when all is said and done, have about $100,000 in roads to recovery money that will come directly into the general fund budget. The EMS received $14,000. The taxi program will be completely covered this year. The amount of that subsidy is kind of unknown because if everything would have went in a perfect year, we would have anticipated about a $20,000 deficit, and that will be covered by CARES funds. And it's likely that because of the amount of subsidy given to the transportation program, any deficit we have next year will also be covered, which is great news for the city, especially if next year we still see these probably lagging revenues in our taxi because of the virus. We also had an opportunity to, when the roads to recovery money came out, this CARES money that was given to the state that they appropriated to county and local municipalities. And when they did that, they allocated a certain dollar amount to every municipality. For the city of Jefferson, that amounted to about $130,000. When we went to apply for it, we had quite a bit of expenses that were eligible expenses, and they were basically using the guidelines that FEMA said they needed to use. Since then, they've loosened up a little bit, and they opened up on the wage category, which has been a huge help for the city. And they pretty much said anybody that's in a public protective type group, you could use all of their wages, not just specific types of wages for reimbursement. So we anticipate that we'll get that full 130 from the state. about 16 to 17,000 Jefferson utilities will have of that. So thankfully, we'll be not only having a better budget this year than we anticipated in March, but we've also been really blessed by some pass-through funding from the state and federal governments. So this is kind of dismal. Overall, we were allowed to increase our levy by $7,650. So the way that they come up with this formula is basically, we're going to give you your net new construction, and that's going to be what you can increase your budget by. Theoretically, that keeps the levy completely flat for the taxpayer. This year, we had a very small net new construction number, and we were extremely lucky that our TIF district closed in the same year. So if we hadn't had a TIF district close, our increase for the year probably would have been closer to about $3,000. So we gained that $7,000 in the general fund, but our library and capital fund remained flat for the rest of this year, or rest of 2021. So this is a bit of a historical look from 2012 forward. And the one thing that's pretty important to look at this is the growth in equalized value. And that's real positive for the city. I know that when COVID hit, they anticipated that the housing market would really take a hit, not only in potential buyers, but in house values. And they have not found that to be the case. It's actually kind of went the opposite direction. What 2021 will bring, we don't know. But for right now, I think we can anticipate that next year we'll see that equalized and assessed value go up again. We'll see that probably in March when those numbers come in. We also saw that positive trend in our TIF districts. They look great. Of course, 8 and 9 are in their infancy, but they also have some really promising projects on the horizon. So I anticipate those will probably do very well in the coming years as well. Can you go back one more? Just wanted. The biggest thing to take away is the tax rate drop. So last year we were at $8.58 per 1,000 of value, and this year we're dropping down to $7.97. This is it, kind of an internal worksheet that I use to kind of develop our tax rate. And on this sheet, all of the levies that are listed in those first two columns are the actual levies for those taxing entities. What isn't rock solid on this is the number on the bottom right above the bright yellow that's kind of a peach color and it's in red. Those are the state credits. We have not been given those yet. I think they'll be released on the 20th, so later this week we should be getting those numbers. Once again, the important thing to see is that there's an overall drop in the tax rate of 65 cents if we aren't funded with any greater subsidies than we were last year. So this actually represents the credits that were given to the city for last year, for 2019. Undoubtedly, they will go up. I don't think I've ever seen a year where they went down. So 65 cents would be great to go down, and it will theoretically probably be a little bit higher. We do have one form that I have to file in tandem with this, that we have to make our numbers match the state. So that we have to take the tax rate out 8 spots. So maybe in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th district decimals, we might see a little bit of change when we update the numbers, but it won't be anything. Our tax rate will still say that $7.97. So. All right, now to the 2021 budget. You can see that we have a $2 million change downward. That was largely for the TIF number 5, capital project funds, and then the commingled capital funds, which is mostly referencing the park development. Okay. These are just numbers that you can't really see up here, but you do have a handout. And that's pretty much just what I said. If you look in the TIF number 5, the capital project funds and the capital funds, which includes park development, you'll see the biggest gap from last year's adopted budget to this year's adopted budget. So for 2021, the important things to take away is that our services will stay the same. We're not offering anything less than this year, this coming year, than we did this year. And we will be adding 1 full-time parks position. With COVID, we may hold off on the hire of that position until April. We'll kind of get a better feel once we're into the new year, we'll see where we are at virus-wise. The next portion is the employee compensation. So at this point, the recommendation of the Finance Committee has been to freeze everybody that's in a step, and we would not adjust the compensation structure. We would fund a one-time non-base building compensation payment to all employees. So those that are in steps would be treated the same as those that have progressed out. And then the police department collective bargaining unit was negotiated at 1%. That would be base building. The thought behind the Finance Committee was because we just don't know going into next year what it's going to bring, if COVID will still be as much of an issue then as it is now, this would allow us some latitude in our budget going forward. We're not putting anything additional in that wage section of our budget that we have to build on in the following year. For health insurance, we are once again funding the Dean Healthcare Plan. It's paired with the HSA, so it's a high deductible plan. We were able to structure a budget so that the city was able to keep its costs under the 2018 health insurance costs, which is pretty great, actually. Basically, what's happened is the burden's been shifted to the employee, but even so, it is anticipated that the city will be contributing to the employees' HSA accounts again this year, but we'll still be under 2018 funding levels for health insurance. And once again, COVID-19 impacts. I think we kind of talked about that kind of ad nauseum earlier. It'll undoubtedly be a problem going into next year. And Tim and I have talked, and probably a lot of the capital projects will say, please don't start anything, please don't order anything until we hit that April mark and we have some kind of idea where our year is going. All right, this is our authorized positions. Not much change here. As we talked about, we do have that one full-time funded parks position. The only other category that had a little bit of change was just the library. With the new director, she kind of changed some things up with positions, all working inside her existing budget. So she's not asking for any additional money, but she kind of changed up some of the titles and exactly how those positions will be working at the library. In the budget, you'll find there's a line item that has $53,000 in it. This is kind of a filler line item that we use, but these funds are currently unappropriated. So once again, if we run into problems next year with COVID or anything else, those funds can be appropriated for those uses. This year's line item was largely used for COVID expenses. We are eligible for expenditure restraint. Once again, this is built around our net new construction number plus a cost of living number. And our increase this year is $104,175. It's a combination of all of our general fund expenditures, our transfers that we fund to our special funds, and then it's adjusted by our debt service requirement. So our increase from last year to this year is 1.42%. We are allowed a maximum of 1.5% this year, which is pretty low, and we'll stay under that. We could bump, another line item in our budget up 5,000, but it's best just not to do that. Don't play it that close. And our revenue line item for 2021 is anticipated at about 122,000. All right, so our general fund is going to go up about 117,000 over last year, which is a 1.9% increase. We know our transfers are going to go down about 22,000, and our debt service decreased about 9,500. And our budget this year didn't incorporate any increases for the water, electric, sewer. It was all pretty flat. You negotiated the refuse recycling contract last year, so we're under a second year of that. And otherwise, just kind of flatten all these categories when we went to budget. All right. So the next slide, and I know that you guys have dealt with the capital projects quite a bit, so we'll kind of speed through this because it's a lot of review for you guys. The three projects that were delayed in the 2020 budget due to potential COVID concerns were the VFW kitchen, the AV system for this room, and the sidewalk program. All three of those return in the 2021 capital budget. So the money that was put aside for them this year was not spent. It was returned to fund balance and will be used in 2021. Flip ahead. Once again, you've seen this numerous times. Nothing has changed since the last time you saw it. Go ahead to the next one as well. Oh. Yeah. All right, this is something that you didn't see last time. This reflects our statutory debt limit. So Wisconsin municipalities cannot exceed 5%. We have a more restrictive policy here at the city of Jefferson. We decided we don't want to go higher than 3%. Right now, we're at 1.1% of our equalized valuation for our debt. Then we are anticipating another debt issuance later this year, potentially going into the next year. So that will increase a little bit, but we're still well under what we need to be and what we can be. To the next one. This one's just a little bit of a pictorial representation of what we just talked about. We're between 20 to 30% of our debt ability to spend. And we're really close to our peers that are in the 7,500 to 10,000 people range. So we're right in there. All right, next one addresses our fund balance. So we've been pretty static, staying between like 2.1 to 2.2 of our undesignated, which has allowed us to take on some pretty great projects. So because we've had some favorable fund balances in the past, like this past year, we were able to fund things like our emergency contingency, which we obviously tipped into. We funded our branding program out of there. We funded our retiree insurance liability out of there, our city hall improvements, a park restroom, zoning code update, and a property purchase, a pending property purchase. So all this while maintaining a good fund balance. Once again, our local policy dictates 15 to 20% of 2 months of revenue. The General Finance Association says like 16. And we're above that. So we're very healthy when it comes to fund balance and our ability to cash flow our expenses. This is also really important. This is our valuation trend that we talked about a little bit earlier, just the healthy home values. And although COVID did cause a temporary blip, we have rebounded to double digits in the home sale values as well as actual sales. All right, so just in conclusion, we've got a budget that will continue all the same services into 2021. We're going to have a tax rate decrease of 7%, a little over 7%. We don't have any significant changes to any user fees or public charges. I do believe there may be something coming your way a little bit closer to the end of the year, beginning of next year for EMS, because they are taking another look at their rates. This budget also completely funds the capital improvement plan, as you guys have looked at numerous times and approved. Maintains a really positive financial trend in spite of an awful year. So we're very, very thankful for that. And that's pretty much the end of the presentation. Is there any questions?
Does anybody have any questions, Tanya? We still have her here. She loves to answer questions. Ask her tough. Thank you, Tanya, very much. Very good. Okay, that ends on the 2021 budget presentation. Now adjourn to a public hearing to discuss the 2020 general, special funds, public library, refuse recycling, capital project equipment, storm sewer utility, wastewater utility budgets, and adoption of the 2021 general special funds, public library, refuse recycling, capital projects and equipment, storm and wastewater utility budgets. I'll call this meeting to order. Kim, would you please read the notice of the public hearing?
Notice is hereby given that the Common Council of the City of Jefferson will hold a public hearing on the proposed 2021 city budget on 17 November 2020 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of the Jefferson City Hall at 317 South Main Street, Jefferson, Wisconsin. Interested persons are invited to attend the public hearing. Citizens will be given an opportunity to present written and oral comments and ask questions regarding the proposed budget. The proposed budget in detail is available for inspection at the City Administration Office from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, or is available online. Tanya provided an extremely good synopsis of the proposed 21 budget. The notice was published in the October 27, 2020 edition of the Daily Union.
Thank you. Tim, are you going to give any more explanation?
No, I don't think so. I think Connie did a great job. She really carried a lot of the water on preparing next year's budget. I would say this, and Tanya touched on it. We're just not sure what's going to happen with COVID-19. For sure, we're going to see some 2021 impacts. As of right now, there is no additional federal assistance that's been appropriated. Who knows what's going to happen with that? And so, as she said, we're looking really at deferring some major expenditures until at least the start of the second quarter next year in terms of capital equipment. And really, that's really all we have, to address a decline in revenue or some additional expenditures that we have to meet for COVID-19. Seems like the rather smart thing to do. Tanya and I hate deficits. I don't think since I've been here we've ran a deficit budget. We've been able to build that fund balance, and we want to see that trend continue. And I think lastly, I would tell you, I think I probably did 35 of these in my time in local government. And aside from the COVID-19, I feel pretty good. I feel really comfortable about the city's financial condition. And if this is passed and ultimately we implement this budget, I don't think there's any erosion to the city's financial position by the time we get to the end of next year. And as I'd like to say, we want to maintain a good financial position and certainly want to preserve our AA3 bond rating. And I think this gives us a pretty good chance to do that.
Very good. All right, this is a public hearing. If any person wishes to be heard, please come up to the podium, state your name and address and reason for appearing this evening, and you may have the floor. Doesn't appear to be Steve, would you like to come up, Scott? Doesn't appear to be any public here. So we move then to E, which is closing of the hearing. So I'll close the hearing and we'll go back to the regular council meeting. First item then on the agenda, coming back, is resolution number 47. That would be me. This is a resolution to approve the general special fund, public library, capital project and equipment fund, refuse and recycling fund, stormwater utility, TIF and wastewater utility budgets. City of Jefferson resolution number 47. Be resolved by the Common Council of the City of Jefferson that the 2021 general fund budget attached hereto and the 2021 budget for special funds, public library, recycling refuse, capital project and equipment, storm sewer utility, and the wastewater treatment utility are hereby adopted. And be it further resolved that any budgetary figures stipulated in the municipal code shall be amended to reflect changes authorized in the municipal budget. I would so move. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Ms. Meyer. Moved and seconded. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none. We'll then vote on resolution number 47. Please say aye. Pause and roll. Or no if you don't.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Large.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Fire. Aye. Niles.
Vote is unanimous. The resolution is very good. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 48, tax levy. That's Alderman Kraus. Mr. Kraus.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President Brandel, fellow council members, and citizens of Jefferson. City of Jefferson Resolution number 48. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Jefferson that the 2020 General Fund Property Tax Levy for municipal services in 2021 amount of $3,371,250. The 2020 Public Library Fund Levy for 2021 service in the amount of $442,975. and the 2020 Capital Project and Equipment Fund levy for 2021 in the amount of $700,000 is hereby approved. And be it further resolved that the following tax rate is hereby adopted for the city of Jefferson. $7.98. So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Tully. It's moved and seconded for resolution number 48 to approve the 2020 tax rate and 2021 tax levy. Are there any questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor of adopting resolution number 48, the approval of the tax rate and tax levy, please say aye as Sarah calls your name. Your poll.
Alderman Randall.
Aye.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Kraus.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Fire. Niles. Miller.
Aye. The vote is unanimous. The tax rate and tax levy are approved. Item 8 on the agenda, resolution number 49, the consent agenda. Ms. Byer.
Honorable President, council members and citizens, City of Jefferson Resolution number 49. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Jefferson, Wisconsin, that the consent agenda for November 17, 2020 is hereby adopted. Vouchers payable for November 2020 in the amounts of $110,212. Payroll summary for October 23, 2020 in the amounts of $158,178, and November 6, 2020 in the amounts of $166,187, and October manual checks in the amounts of $4,890. Council minutes from October 20th and November 12th, 2020 of the Common Council. Jefferson County Humane Society 2021 contract. Licenses as approved by the regulatory committee. We had one operator's license for Shannon Rasmussen for Landmark and Bambi Club. I would so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lars. As far as the Humane Society contract goes, the Finance Committee unanimously recommended the acceptance of that contract. Are there any questions, comments? Hearing none. Resolution number 49, the consent agenda. If you approve, please say aye as the clerk calls the roll. No if you're opposed.
Alderman Lars.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Kraus.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Fire.
Aye.
Niles. Miller.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye. It's unanimous. Resolution number 49, the consent agenda is approved. Number 9, resolution number 50, the tentative collective bargaining agreement. Alderman Lars.
Thank you, President Randall, fellow council members, citizens of Jefferson. City of Jefferson Resolution number 50, ratifying a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Jefferson and the Jefferson Professional Police Association Local 115. Whereas the current collective bargaining agreement between the City of Jefferson and the Jefferson Professional Police Association Local 115 expired at the end of December 31st, 2020. And whereas the parties have negotiated a tentative agreement for a successor collective bargaining agreement for the years 2021 and 2022. And whereas the memberships of the Jefferson Professional Police Association Local number 115 have met and ratified the negotiated tentative agreement. And whereas the Jefferson Finance Committee has met and considered the proposed tentative agreement and is recommending a ratification of said tentative agreement to the Common Council, and now therefore be resolved by the Common Council of the City of Jefferson, Wisconsin, that herein approves and ratifies a tentative agreement for a successor collective bargaining agreement between the Jefferson Police Association Local 115 and the City of Jefferson. The agreement includes the following major provisions: a 2-year contract for years 2021-2022, a wage increase of 1% across the board for 2021, a contract reopener to bargain the 2022 wages. I so move.
Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Young. Are there any questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor of approving resolution number 50, collective bargaining agreement? please say aye as Sarah calls your name. Opposed?
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Kraus.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Fire. Niles. Miller.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Item 50, item 51, rather, item 50, I'll get it right eventually. The bargaining agreement is approved. Item 10 on the agenda, resolution number 51, facade grant loan agreement. The loan agreement, not grant. Alderman Niles.
President Brandel, citizens of Jefferson, council members. Excuse me. City of Jefferson Resolution Number 51, authorizing agreement to modify and extend a business credit agreement between Tamlike Investments LLC and the City of Jefferson. Whereas in February 2010, the City of Jefferson Redevelopment Authority approved a facade loan for 121 North Main Street, former the Advertiser Building, in the amount of $10,000 for the purpose of assisting the property owner with a variety of facade improvements. Whereas the terms and provisions of the loan include 2% interest to be paid annually, with a balloon principal repayment due in 10 years or in year 10 or upon the sale of the property, whichever occurs first. The loan is secured by a business credit agreement and a real estate mortgage. Whereas the manager of Tamlike Investments LLC, Mr. Mike Forrester, has requested a 1-year extension of the repayment of the loan principal due to the financial impacts of COVID-19. Whereas the city attorney has drafted an agreement of modify and extend a business credit agreement, which requires Tamlike Investments LLC to pay the city the sum of $1,200, representing the $200 annual interest payment for 2020 and a $1,000 reduction of principal balance on or before December 1st, 2020. The balance of the loan shall accrue at the new interest rate of 5% per annum, commencing on December 1, 2020. Tamlike Investments LLC shall make full repayment of the remaining principal on or before December 1, 2020, including all accrued interest and the balance of the loan. Whereas, except as set forth in the agreement to modify and extend the business credit agreement, the terms and provisions of the original business credit agreement are satisfied by the parties. The agreement shall continue to be secured by a real estate mortgage dated February 24, 2010, and recorded with the Jefferson County Register of Deeds. And now, therefore, let it be resolved by the City Council of the City of Jefferson, Wisconsin, that it herein approves the agreement to modify and extend a business credit agreement between Tamlike Investments LLC and the City of Jefferson, and authorizes the city administrator to execute said agreement on behalf of the City of Jefferson. I so move.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Byer. Any additions, corrections, comments? Hearing none. We will then vote on resolution number 51. If you approve, please say aye as Sarah calls you. Don't approve.
Alderman Kraus.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Fire. Niles. Miller. Randall.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Resolution number 1 is approved. I'll now entertain a motion to return to closed session pursuant to sections 1985, terms 1, Wisconsin statutes to discuss the hire of a full-time waste treatment operator.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Miller, seconded by Mr. Lars. All in favor of returning to closed session, please say aye as Sarah calls your name. No if you're opposed.
Alderman Tully. Fire. Niles.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Kraus.
We will be reconvening.
This conference will now be recorded.
That whole storage here?
Oh, okay, that's right. All right, we've reconvened to open session. Only item on the agenda is resolution number 52, to hire a full-time wastewater treatment operator. And Cullen, that is yours.
Thank you, Council President Brandel. City of Jefferson, resolution number 52. Whereas the position of wastewater plant has been vacant November 2nd, 2020. And it has been determined to be in the best interest of the wastewater utility that the position be filled when a qualified applicant has been identified. And whereas the Personnel Committee has candidacy and is recommending that Mike Meskey meet the requirements of the position. The recommendation of the Personnel Committee is to hire Mike Meskey to fill a vacant position of wastewater plant operator. And now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Jefferson, Wisconsin, that herein the hire of Mike Meskey to fill the vacant position of water plant operator, subject to the following parameters. Mike Meskey shall successfully pass a pre-employment physical, drug, and alcohol screening. Mike Meskey's starting salary is $26 per hour and be placed at grade 6 on the City of Jefferson compensation plan. Mike Meskey will be placed on the time off benefit schedule, 5 years of step, which is 14 days. And Mike Meskey shall start on or December 1st, 2020. I would so move.
Been moved. Is there a second? Second. And then Mr. Miller. Moved and seconded to authorize the hire of Mike Meskey for the wastewater treatment operator. Do you have any questions, comments?
And this was unanimous earlier, personnel meeting.
Very good, thank you. Anything else? Tim?
Oh, you gotta vote.
What?
You gotta vote on this, right?
I know.
I have just one thing I wanted to mention before we adjourn.
Oh, okay. All right, if there's no further questions, Tim's not gonna try to mix me up.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
I've never been pulling at this. Well, then, vote on number 52. All in favor of hiring Mike Meskey, please say aye. As Sarah calls your name.
Alderwoman Byer. Aye. Niles. Aye. Miller.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
Aye.
Kraus.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Welcome on board, Mike Meskey. Last item on the agenda is adjournment. Tim has a question. He's not forgot.
I don't have a question. I just have one quick comment before we adjourn, and that is really to congratulate Sarah on the election that we had a couple of weeks ago. That was really, really a complicated election, not only due to the volume of it, but because of COVID-19, and we figured out the best way to keep people from bunching up in this building. And when I congratulated Sarah, she's so darn humble that, she said, well, she gave credit to the people that went before her, and she said, I just built on what they did, which is probably true as well. It was really a well-run, efficient election, at least in my opinion, and it should be commended.
Do you want to give a speech or anything?
For the camera, please.
No.
All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Lars, seconded by Byron. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank
See
you.
you, Dale.